All right, good afternoon. Like I said, we're going to be starting our story today with Jessica, whose story is going to come from a land down under. So, a fantastic country named Australia. Good day. My name is Jessica, and I live in Sydney, Australia, with my mum and dad. It's the first day of the new term, and I'm in year 4. That means I'm old enough to join the debating team and sing in the choir. After breakfast, I put on my school uniform, including a hat for the sun. Then I walked to school. Our class lined up in the yard. My new teacher, Mr. Elton, had us sit outside and make up some classroom rules. Brianna said she thought chewing gum shouldn't be allowed in the classroom, just as I blew a big bubble. The teacher read us a funny story about cow dung custard by a famous Australian writer. Then we worked in the school bushland doing some serious weed busting. I especially love the blue flat lilies and the Mickey Mouse plants that grow here. I bought a popper at the canteen for snack. In the afternoon, we were assigned computer key pals in Germany. I emailed my key pal and told her about kookaburras, koalas, and other Australian animals. Some people call Australia the lucky country. I know I'm lucky to live here. So, some similarities and differences between the first day of school in Australia and in Haddonfield, New Jersey, in the United States is we both line up outside. Many of our teachers don't allow gum chewing either. But some of the differences that we have is we don't work in the fields like they do in Australia to keep the schoolyards clean. They also call their years a little bit different. For example, you are all entering the 5th grade, but in Australia, they call the grades year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and so on. They also call them terms, so it's back to term. A couple of other cool things about Australia is that the school year term, they don't call it a year, begins at the end of January and ends in mid-December. School hours are 9 to 3, and many Australian children wear uniforms, including hats to protect them from the sun's strong rays. Lunch might include a meat pie or a sandwich and a fruit drink in a box, called popper. For dinner, Australians like fast foods, steaks, and salads. Some people eat kangaroo tail soup or smoked crocodile. Children play t-ball, rugby, soccer, and cricket, a game played with a bat and a ball. The Australian wilderness, called the bush or bushland, is home to kookaburras, kangaroos, koalas, duck-billed platypuses, and other unusual animals. Very neat. All right, our second story today comes from the land of Kenya in the continent of Africa. Jumbo, hello, I Shing am a luau girl from Kenya. My parents gave me a name that means sun because I was born at midday. All of the Kenyan children have very important symbolic names, usually having to do with the experience or the weather or the time of day when they were born. Today I walked to school and met my teacher and classmates for the first time. Everyone was busy with chores. The girls swept the floor while the boys cut the grass with pangas or machetes. I can't imagine they would let us have boys and girls use machetes in our school. Afterward, we sat on a straw mat and began our lessons. I will learn health, arithmetic, and to read and write in Kiswahili. At noon, it began to rain. The noise of drops hitting the tin roof was so loud that we began to giggle. The teacher stopped talking. When the storm was over, we went outside, and I ate mandazi, or fried bread, for lunch. I love sports, so I played soccer with some of the other children after school. We used 2 termite nests for goalposts. When I got home, I helped my mother tend the shamba, or garden. We ate growing cassava, potatoes, and beans. Tonight we will eat red bean stew for dinner. Then grandmother will tell us stories about lion, hyena, and the other African animals. So, some similarities and differences with our first day of school than with Aishing from Kenya is that, well, we both learned things like math, arithmetic, she calls it, and reading and writing and health. But some of the differences are we don't sit on straw mats, and we certainly don't clean up and use machetes to clean up the garden or sweep the floor. Some Kenyans live in huts on small plots of land where they grow corn, potatoes, cassava, pineapples, and mangoes. Others live in modern cities. Children go to school 6 days a week in Kenya from January to November. The students help keep the school clean in the classroom. They sit on a straw mat or share a desk. Books and paper are scarce. Scarce is a good vocabulary word, meaning they are very hard to come by. So many in schools in Kenya and other places throughout Africa do not have paper and books. Kenyans love to play soccer. They sometimes use a bundle of rags for a ball and a termite nest for a goalpost. They also enjoy basketball, volleyball, and a board game called Mancala, that is played with seeds or shells. Elephants, leopards, cheetahs, monkeys, lions, and zebras make their home in Kenya. Kenyans enjoy telling stories about these animals. So, quite a different experience in Kenya for the first day of school. They walk to school, and if you notice, she doesn't really have any shoes on. So certainly there's no uniforms like they have in Australia, but the learning is very similar in the case of the subjects, but how they learn seems a lot different without any computers or books or paper. Our final story is about Thomas and his sister. And Thomas's story comes from Peru in South America. Hola, I am Thomas from the Amazon rainforest. I live with my family in a house on stilts beside the river. My father taught me to to weave a shigra or fishnet from palm fiber and to make jewelry from tangua nuts. He was my first teacher, but now I have another. This morning, my big sister Katia, and I paddled our canoe to school. My job was to bail water. We must fix that leak. Rose-colored dolphins swam alongside us, and a big snake slithered by. Katia whacked a papaya with her paddle and gave me a piece for breakfast. Just imagine that, boys and girls, actually paddling on a canoe to school each morning. A canoe with a hole in it, nonetheless, and having to bail water out with a snake slithering by you. When we arrived at school, I met my new teacher. Her name is Isabel, and she is 14. The school is a hut with a dirt floor. We have a few desks, a chalkboard, and a map of Peru, but no books. We will learn counting, reading, and writing. A boy had brought his pet monkey to school. When the monkey ran outside and climbed a tree, Isabel made a rule: no pets at school. Well, there's a similarity for sure. Then she taught us the national anthem of Peru. Katia and I sang it over and over as we paddled home. So certainly some differences here, boys and girls, compared to our first day of school. We certainly don't take canoes to get to school like Katia and Thomas did. And we do have books, unlike this Thomas and Katia in Peru. And we're lucky enough to have lots of desks, chalkboards, and lots of maps and technology in our classes and our schools, which is very unlike Katia and Thomas. Children of the Amazon in Peru actually live alongside the Amazon River in huts built on stilts for protection from floods. Children learn how to hunt and fish from their parents. They also learn how to grow bananas, rice, and makinik, a plant that can be mashed into flour. The river is like a highway, and even children have their own canoes. Children like to race their canoes, sing and play tag and hopscotch. Canoes transport many children to school. School is often held in a one-room hut with a dirt floor. Teenagers teach the younger children counting, reading, writing, and geography. Toucans, puffbirds flit through the rainforest. Some even keep monkeys, parrots, or large rodents for pets. Quite interesting indeed, boys and girls, to learn about these first days of school from around the world. I think it's really interesting to expose ourselves to what it's like to go to school all over the world. Now, this year, we're actually going to be having a variety of different first day of school experiences. Some of you went to school today and met your teacher in person. Some of you attended school online, virtually, and met your teacher that way. So just like our students in Peru, Australia, Kenya, and even the United States, we all have unique and special first day of school stories. Boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed our first day of school stories. And I'm going to ask you now to go back to Google Classroom to complete the assignment, and don't forget to hit turn in/submit. All right, bye for now and have a great afternoon. See you next week, everybody.